the fire service situation,
Kasua,
Abena sent it. Yeah. And Abena is saying that we need to lobby for it, because the point is that the fire started burning at Kasua, and they called the fire service, and the fire service responded, but the fire tender was in Anya. Charlie, Anya to Kasua is far, and this was in the night. So by the time they got to Kasua, it was the young guys who had used their water to quench the fire.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, look, Bernard, it's unfortunate, whichever way you look at it, when fire rages or clears any habitation, you know. But you are in luck if it happens at night for the fire service to have access to you, because during the day, traffic will block the fire service from getting to you. Now, as a country, I think that we should be realistic with the problems that we face in our spatial, the makeup of our, our spaces. You know, driving around, I see skyscrapers coming up, jumping up. Every time I see, the question I ask myself is,
when a fire happens, what
do we have the capacity, firefighting capacity, to manage these buildings? The answer, you and I know, we do not have. So who is giving the permits? Now, granted that the permits have been given, that incremental approach of resourcing the fire service, that regime of using an incremental approach to resource the fire service should be thrown away. The entire fire service has overhauled with our current realities. Okay? Right. The water receptacles are all worn out. A lot of them, by the time they open, instead of clean water, is gutter water. Some of them,
the hydrants,
yes,
they are
gone. And I am told that even with the water that with the full whatever of the water that they carry, they are able to the fire tenders, right? Tenders. They are able to manage up to 5 minutes of operation on site. So with the water that they have, they can't go beyond 5 minutes of operation. Okay. Now, this may have been a good solution 30 years ago. True. But with our current situation, we need to do a complete overhauling of the fire service.
Let me push it further.
See, I'm coming.
Okay.
You know something? The skyscraper thing. You have I think there's what do you call it? There's a height.
Yes.
Beyond which you can't just build anywhere.
Especially when there's no there's no means of reaching that place.
Exactly. And it has to be below, I think, 75 feet. Or anything above 75 feet, which is about 23, 24 meters, you need special permission to build that thing. But Ghana, people are building anything. And our fire hydrant, the fire service tenders cannot manage buildings that are 75 feet above the fire tender.
So we are even creating another problem for ourselves.
We have created 75 feet above the lowest level of the fire tender.
I was even thinking it's just a market problem. Now you are raising the height.
Yeah,
and
the height thing.
That's serious.
You understand? See some of these skyscrapers and look at our fire tenders. They don't have the capacity
to go up.
Good. Now, secondly, before you come in, you know, the architecture, of our skyscrapers in Ghana, it actually provides a chimney-like stair wall for the rapid movement of fire if it should happen in the building.
Are you serious?
Of course. Check the high rise, the stair walls, the staircases. They are so enclosed. Okay. So anything that happens, smoke, fire, it actually processes as a chimney, and they pass through so quickly.
And there's no outlet.
There's no outlet. And I'm saying that, what are we doing to ourselves? We see the skyscrapers in the movies, and we want to replicate. Fair enough. But we are leaving behind the fire service. The fire service needs a complete overhaul. Not just to paint their head office like the police has done. They have to be given modern tools, modern equipment.
So I
revamp.
want to make it complex for you now. The Minister for Interior had proposed 2 weeks ago that there should be a small levy put on fuel prices just for fire service retooling.
So long as that levy is not going into the consolidated fund. So
you will only support it if it is deliberately earmarked for fire
and
service.
it's not somebody who wake up and say, I've capped it.
Okay, so this is free support. Because when we interviewed Dan Kanamo, I said a lot of the history of the levies is that they always have a noble intention.
Yeah.
And they always are supposed to have a sunset clause, but the sun never sets. So I want to add 2 caveats. So you're saying, number 1, if they will earmark it for fire service, and number 2, if there will be a very clearly spelled out sunset clause.
Yes.
That
Which means what?
So maybe you are taking it for 2 years.
Okay, yes. Very important.
So you calculate and
timeline,
say,
yes.
If you are going to add, I think he even mentioned the pesos. If let's say 10 pesos.
0.5 pesos.
Per liter of petrol for fire service retooling, then I think 2 things. What it will do must be clearly spelled out. How it will be collected and how it will be allocated must be clearly spelled out.
And when it will end.
Those things. So, Muntaka, we will only support such a thing if these things are put in there and it's also publicly discussed. So, we shouldn't force it. There must be public discourse. And the fire service themselves must take the lead in telling the public how they intend to use the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want public support for a policy and I like the idea that the minister raises it in public. Right. They didn't go and hide in parliament and do it. So now we can discuss it. But based on what Samens is saying, if we don't overhaul our fire service, it only takes 1 for many to happen. So now it's market fires.
True.
Yeah.
If you don't take care in these high-rise buildings, if you go from the Kintakitewea overpass all the way through to police headquarters, that road, all the way to Ridge Roundabout. Now they are high-rise buildings. Latter Day Saints, MTN headquarters, Upsize building, Barclays is Sanchez. They are all there. So that whole area now, in 10 years' time, it will be our high street.
Yeah.
Now, touch wood, something happens to one and there's a fire.
Yeah.
How are you going to save the people there?
Yeah.
So I think it's a very important point that fire service needs to be retooled and they need to be motivated.
Yeah.
So I think you've solved that problem.
Let me read last one before I go on. Quick one.
The third message.
Yeah, no, on this fire service thing.
Okay.
Is that I think that the Ghana Standards Authority comes for mention here.
Talk to me.
They should, if you like, enforce a better regime of supervising electrical installations and connections in public spaces.
Repeat that.
Like
repeat,
the markets.
Repeat that.
I said that they should enforce a new regime of supervising electrical connections and installations in public places and certify the viability of the, because a lot of the markets have worn out electrical connections.
Exactly. And they also use cheap and fake.
You understand?
Cereal.
So cooking that.
We wake up, we go and sleep, we wake up, they say fire in the market.
Right.
Yes,
but nobody ever found out what kind of wires they used or how long ago they even connected the thing. At times, you go to the back of some of those stalls.
Wires.
The wires that you see there, you think they are weaving a basket.
They are hanging.
Sometimes, wouldn't it be easier, in addition to the certification, to also block the entry of fake materials? Because that's another issue. So the fake cables and the poor quality materials contaminate the system.
Yeah.
Which some of the, so like if you have an installer, I remember there was a day I was building, someone told me that
100%.
if you want to do electricals, don't use this guy, use this guy. And I didn't understand that thing until much later. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you see, Caleb, you and I are not experts. If the guy is not honest, you give him money to go and buy cables.
Yeah.
He will buy something and install for you.
Substandard.
10 years later, there's a fire.
Yeah.
So if you cannot trust your installer of your power systems, you are in big trouble.
Yeah.
So that's where you found Tola.
Yeah, man. Tola
Tola be correct too.
But are these people certified so that
Oh,
maybe
Tola,
if you are going to
Tola
do
is certified.
No, they are
certificate.
certified. They
Tola
are
is
all
certified.
certified. Now they are certified by this thing commission.
Yes,
Energy
Commission.
Commission.
No. Tola is certified. Tola. Your point is that if they will take any money to retool fire service,
Complete overhaul of the fire service.
good.
There must be a sunset clause
Including the curriculum for training firemen. We need to upgrade it and start taking some of the fire service personnel to other countries for training.
So retool, retrain.
Yes.
Maybe welfare too. Because a lot of them
It comes with it.
But the public has not yet embraced the suggestion to pay more. To pay
Well, it's the duty of the politicians to
convince the public.
convince the public in a logical manner, not the e-levy approach.